Welcome to Physics 2425, University Physics 1 for spring 2021. I'm Raymond Binge. I'll be teaching the class, and so this introduction just kind of gets you familiar with me and with how the class is going to be working. The lectures are going to primarily be things that I have recorded and posted on YouTube like this so that you can watch them on whatever device you want to over time. You can speed up, slow down if you have that ability. You can go back and catch something that you missed. I try to keep the lectures in 10 to 15 minute segments, covering one little topic at a time. And do some example problems to get you familiar with things. The lectures go along with the textbook. The textbook is standard sort of book that's used in introductory physics. We're using the 11th edition of the Halliday and Resnick Fundamentals of Physics textbook, but it's the exact same book as the 10th edition. So if you can find an older edition, then that's fine because it has exactly the same material in it, in the same order, even the same problems. The homework is going to be posted, is already posted for the entire semester. You can work ahead. Don't wait to the last minute. Don't necessarily wait until you finish one problem set before you start the next problem set, because some of these involve quite a bit. Students often wonder, why do I assign so much homework? And that is that I've learned from experience that the more problems you do, the better you do in the course. So the more you learn how to do it, this is like weightlifting. You don't just go up and lift a weight and say, okay, now I want the heavier one, lift a heavier weight, go and say, now next one, lift a heavier weight, and then now you're in the Olympics lifting weights. It doesn't work that way. Okay, you have to practice. The more practice you do, the better you are at it. And so that's why you do so much homework. It gives you more practice. The other sort of things here, the tests are problem-oriented tests. I'm going to be posting some old exams you can use as study guides. They're not there yet, but they'll be posted here shortly. And then I'll be adding a little bit now and then. The labs are normally going to be due on Wednesdays. The first lab I have due the following week, so you get extra time, but that means there's less time between the first lab and the second lab. So again, you might want to finish the first lab quickly and then start working on the second lab. I just gave you extra time on that first lab. So that's kind of where we are right now in terms of the schedule. The syllabus gives you a basic idea of the sort of things that we have and what's due when and so forth. And so on the weeks that we have an exam, you don't have a lab due that week. In addition to the homework and the test, I want you to write a handful of those short papers. Now, what's this short paper thing about? Well, the short papers are basically just a summary of something you read in the news that has to do with physics. And you say, well, what could that be? Well, that's everything. You might have read about a car crash. Well, car crash, we talk about collisions in the chapter that we cover momentum. And so that's vital in terms of that. You might read about something else that has to do with energy or whatever. We talk about energy in the class. Even a crime, a gunshot. Someone got shot. Well, there's a lot of physics in how guns work. You might read about a new car that's coming out, and it gives you the acceleration of the car, 0 to 60 in so many seconds. Okay, we talk about that in chapter 2. So all these sort of things are physics. The idea is I want you to start thinking about how physics is in everything in your life. Everything has got physics in it, and so that's kind of what I want you to be thinking about when you're doing these little short papers. We'll talk more about that as we get a little bit closer to it. The first one's due on February 2nd. The other thing is the discussion boards. For each chapter, I'm going to have a discussion board set up on Blackboard where you have several sort of things you're going to post. You're going to post something of your own, pose a question or something that came up in your mind regarding the material. And then you're going to also be responding to someone else's question. You're going to answer the question. So, someone might ask, well, how would this work or whatever. They might actually ask a problem. And then you solve the problem and solve it. Or they might say, does anyone know if this can be applied in something else, some other situation, and then you go look that up. Now, you might need to go to the internet and look something up to answer this. That's perfectly fine. You can cite where you found the answer and so forth. So that's going to be some more things here that we'll talk about, but it ought to be something you think about, and this gets you more engaged in the class and thinking about it beyond just listening to lectures. The other thing I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to have a couple of question and answer sessions each week, and technically the semester doesn't start until the 19th, so I haven't scheduled them yet, but I'm going to have a couple of question and answer sessions. They're optional, but I've discovered that often students that attend the Q&A sessions, because they'll be live with me, do better. Because this gives you a chance to ask questions and I can answer directly. You might have a question about solving things or how something applies or how do I want something done. It gives you a chance to interact. That's one thing that's missing with this online format is interaction. And it gives me a chance to get feedback directly from you as to what you know, what you don't know, what you're having trouble with, and I can reemphasize certain things that you're having trouble with. So I do encourage you to attend the Q&A sessions if you can. The homework, a lot of problems. They're already posted. There's no penalty for turning things in late, or rather early. There is a penalty for turning in late, but not for early. So what you want to do is go ahead and work ahead. You're perfectly welcome to turn things in early, and that's not a problem. So again, work ahead. The idea of the homework is really to get you practice. The homework is not a huge part of the course grade. So it's mainly to get you practice. Every now and then I find a student that gets perfect scores in the homework and they crash and burn on the test. And it's obvious what they're doing is they're cheating in the homework. They're just looking up the answers somewhere. That's not helping you learn anything. The idea is I want you to learn, not just get the answer. You need to learn how to do it. Very few people take this class only because of an interest. Most people take the class because they're expected to know the material for later classes. So I'm trying to prepare you for your career, for your upper division classes, so you do well there. One of the greatest things for me is when students that I had 2, 3, 5, 10 years ago email me, or they run into me somewhere and they say, hey, you said I'd need to know this stuff, and you were right. I really have used this stuff, throughout, my career as an engineer or a scientist. Or I have someone in this class and I meet them at a conference somewhere, right after they got their PhD. And they say, yeah, I really did use that stuff. So I do keep touch with the four-year universities. I find out what do they want students to know. And I try to make sure that that's what we cover in the class. So it's not just, getting through, the class. I really am trying to make sure you know what they want you to know for upper division classes. I know we're not all in here with the same major, but there are a variety of things that are pretty straightforward that pretty much everybody needs to know, or most people need to know, and that's what I've tried to put into here. So that's the basic format of the class. I encourage you, I'll be posting announcements of when the Q&A sessions are. Show up to say hi if you want to. I'm also going to have office hours available when you can meet online. And again, I can try to do this virtually in this kind of in a fashion where it's live video. I think that's kind of helpful, because then you can share your screen, I can share my screen, and we can like help each other through problems we're doing. There's also the Math and Physics Tutoring Center. I have a link to them on the Blackboard page. They can also share screen and help you with some of the homework problems. So that's another resource for you right there. And so there's a variety of things here. And again, the whole idea of the class is to prepare you to go on and do well in later classes. And so that's what I'm after. I'm after you learning the material and going on to later classes. So with that, I guess we can get started.